We're so excited. Let's hear your 9 sales accelerators.
Yeah, so this key piece, like this middle piece of this journey, right? This is almost like your keystone. If you're familiar with that idea, it's like, you know, a lot of companies get that startup mode and you get those first few customers, but if you don't figure out how to get past startup mode and start creating some repeatability, what ends up happening is you eventually will die out, right? Because you don't have that repeatability that you need. It's just too hard of a struggle. You'll run out of cash. You're undercharging people for too long, and you're not going to make it, right? Now, the second challenge is that you could get this repeatability stage, but if you're trying to get to scale, but you haven't built these systems, what end up happening is that you'll end up leveling out. So in order to really get out of startup and into ramp up, and to make sure that once you get to scale up, you've got the core systems for your team to run, you've got to get what we call the 9 sales accelerators built. 9 sales accelerators. So you've got a notebook, you can just draw a 3-circle Venn diagram and just think about it this way, right? Where we want to go with this is we want to make an impact. That's the focus of the 9 sales accelerators. You want to get on the path to making an impact. And what that means is you want to have clarity, you want to have some control, and you want to have confidence in your sales process. You want to have clarity on who you're targeting and why you're targeting and what problem you solve. You want to have control so that when you engage in those conversations, you always have next steps and you can help that person along their buying process. And you want to have confidence to know you can solve that problem so you can charge the price you deserve to charge. And your customer should have confidence to know that, hey, if we pay this money, we're going to get the outcome we want, right? That's how you know you're making an impact, is that you have clarity, control, and confidence. And so from a tactical standpoint, what that means is, number one, we need to have what's called a prospecting plan of action. A prospecting plan of action, meaning we need to have a way of going out and finding our future customers and teaching them about our problem and bringing them into our sales funnel. The second thing we need to have is what we call pipeline pull-through. So once we have a sales opportunity in our sales pipeline, we need to be able to pull it through the pipeline to go from interested and qualified through to the third phase, which is paying customer. So you can think about these 3 areas as your pillars of your repeatable sales process. So around these pillars is where we start thinking about the 9 sales accelerators. These are the core systems that if you build and implement these will accelerate your sales process and accelerate your growth. So the first one is what we call funnel fillers. We need to have a way of filling the funnel every day, every week. So again, for some people, that's having a target list and you're doing an effective outbound email campaign. For other people, it's using LinkedIn. It could be running webinars. It could be, using a podcast. Whatever it takes in order to reach your market and fill your funnel, you need to have a system. If you don't have a system for filling the funnel, it's just going to slow you down because you're going to be sitting around and then all of a sudden an email, somebody requests a demo, and you're like, holy shit, we got a lead, yahoo! Like if you're in that situation, that's really bad. Like you should be able to look away from your lead gen, go work with customers, go work with product, go talk to investors and come back at the end of the day or the end of the week and go, oh yeah, cool, we got 20 more leads just like I thought, right? That's why you need to have a funnel filling strategy in order to accelerate your sales. The second thing we need to have is you need to establish your authority voice. And this goes back to the idea of having a moral obligation to reach your market. Because again, you started this company with an idea. You saw a problem that wasn't getting solved or wasn't getting solved the right way. And you know more about that problem. There's nobody in the world thinking about this problem more than you. You know more about this problem than your customers probably do. So it's your job to create that authority voice, right? So you should be thinking about how do you teach your customers about their problem? How do you educate them so you can separate away from the old stuff and teach them the new way of doing things? If you think about some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, right? They had this authority voice where people were almost like leading a crusade for the cause. And you need to be comfortable creating that authority voice. And that's going to be useful for you in the sales process because it's going to help you filter out who's interested in following you and who just wants to see a demo. And then the third piece here is what we call lead qualification. And the reason this accelerates your sales is that it helps you make sure you're only spending time with those companies, those prospects who are actually in a position to make a purchase, who actually want to make a purchase. So too many times I see things like request a demo on a website and people request a demo and you spend an hour and you show the product, and at the end of the demo, you get a bunch of applause and people say, send me a proposal, and you spend all weekend sending a proposal, and then when they get back to you? On the 19th and never. And they get back to you on the 19th and never because they weren't qualified in the first place. So by adding this step, you're actually going to accelerate your sales process, even if that means telling some people you don't get a demo because maybe you're the wrong person or you're the wrong type of company or the timing isn't right. You have to be comfortable qualifying people out just as much as you need to want people to be qualified in. If you do that, it's going to accelerate your sales.
I heard this. One of the stories I heard just today where the founder spent almost entire hour on a demo with a person who didn't even have the system that they had to have in order to make use of this SaaS integration. So they had to have a HubSpot, and they're like, what's a HubSpot? So
yeah, exactly. 100%. It could be something as simple as that, or it could be, you think about the people who makes decisions in organizations. It's typically people higher up in the organization. Who's the easiest people to get a hold of? People lower in the organization. So just because somebody lower in the organization requests a demo doesn't mean they get a demo. Like, we got to figure out, where do they fit into the organization? How do we know if they have influence? Just because they think there's a problem with this company, does the person who has the budget, do they even know that this problem exists? Or is this just somebody complaining every day because they're using spreadsheets and they're tired of using spreadsheets? So these are all the things, these are all the strategies that you have to implement at the top of your funnel to know who you should be spending time with, because time is your most precious resource right now. Yeah.
In this instance, Scott, a question then. If a lower level person requests a demo, would you ask for a higher level, the decision-making person, to also be on this demo?
I would require it. We teach that to our clients. We have a specific strategy on how you navigate through an organization that enables you to be talking to all of the stakeholders even before the demo, so you understand what their needs are, understand if there's really a problem here, how severe that problem is, so that going into the demo, you have all the stakeholders in the room to know whether or not they should be moving forward.
Do you have a polite way, like a couple of sentences that we can use to email this person and say, hey, we'd like to also have your boss on the call?
I wouldn't do it on an email. I would do it on a phone call. I would say, hey, Natalie, it sounds like from your perspective, this is really a challenge that your organization has. I can't imagine what it's like every day having to deal with spreadsheets and SharePoint. And it sounds to me like you're the kind of person we love to help every single day. So we work with companies like you all the time. And one of the things that we have found is that people like you get so excited about our product, but then when it comes time to ask for the budget, then the person who's a step or two or three above you, they just don't understand what you're going through every day. And so what we found, it's really, really important that we want to make sure that person has a look at our product so they can see exactly how it's going to help you, which at the end of the day is really going to help them because they're going to get more out of you. So let's figure out a way, maybe we just have a quick chat with your senior vice president just to make sure that she's really clear that like this is an issue for you and that maybe, just maybe, we could be a solution for you. And then from there, we can figure out what the next steps are. Doesn't that seem reasonable?
Love it. Love it. So then you basically make it, show it that the benefit to them, that it's not
absolutely, yeah,
their boss to be there, but explaining the benefit to them.
Of course. Yeah. Nobody wants to feel like you're pushing them aside. It's like, oh, I'm really glad we had this conversation with Natalie. She's the assistant vice president, but I can't wait to push her aside and get to the senior vice president. No, of course not. I mean, let's face it. I mean, this person, if you're that initial point of contact for me, Natalie, I mean, let's face it. It took some steps for you. You got frustrated. You took the step. You got on the call. You spent your time. You're doing all these things. Now we should partner together and work together and make sure that you get the credit when we go talk to the SVP. Like, man, I didn't even know that your company existed. If it wasn't for Natalie spending the time and researching our solution and asking for us to talk about how we might be able to help her, gosh, we wouldn't even be here. So first of all, big credit to Natalie. Really glad that she reached out. So let's talk about your situation, SVP. Like, how is this inability for her to do her work every day? How's that affecting your business? So that's truly a partnership. And that actually brings us to the next sales accelerator. So now we've got a qualified deal. Now they're in that proverbial pipeline, right? And so the next sales accelerator we need to do is have what we call demo design. Like, how are you structuring your demos to show how your product solves problems, not giving them the harbor tour, not showing them and explaining to them why your buttons are blue and not red, not showing them how to log in, right? Getting all the key stakeholders involved with that demo early on. And again, if you do it the wrong way, it's going to slow your whole process down. If you're doing one demo for one person and then hoping that person after the demo gets a one-pager from you and then they run it up the flagpole and hope 7 weeks later that somebody else is interested in seeing the demo, that's way too slow. But if we do it the right way, we get the stakeholders involved, we understand their needs, we show them how we're going to solve the problem. The demo is actually a short, quick step from early stage opportunity to like, oh, this could solve our problems. What's next? So I always think about demo is not a stage in your sales process. We want to get in and out of demo as quickly as possible. It should be a catalyst or a springboard to the rest of the sales process. That's why if you do it right, it's an accelerator. So after we've done the demo the right way, the next system is you need to have a way of prospect partnering. Because coming out of that product demo, there's going to be all kinds of questions people are going to have. How does this work? Does it integrate with HubSpot? How many seats do we need? How secure is your platform? All of those questions that people are going to have. So we're going to need some help from your prospect in order to get those questions answered, in order to get access to the chief risk officer, to get access to the IT people who are going to have to look at our APIs and our SDKs. So coming out of that demo, one of the systems we need to have is a way to work with our prospect to move this through. It can't be us pushing the deal, right? We should be together, be pulling it through to completion. And then the last system here is every sale, there's a reason for things to slow down. We've seen big external shocks like coronavirus, macroeconomic slowdowns, but then there's micro reasons, right? Vacations. Today, my son's going back to school. It's his first day of school online. He's 8 years old. Guess what? It's going to slow my life down. It just is. It's just the way the world is, right? People are working from home. People go on paternity leave. I have one of our key members of our team. So on paternity leave right now. It's going to slow us down. There's a reason for things to slow down. So it's our job in sales is to make sure that we are maintaining momentum. So I call them momentum maintainers. How do we make sure that we keep that deal moving? Because there's all kinds of reasons for it to slow down. Geez, Bob's out of the office right now. Or, geez, we can't take action right now because we have these other priorities. It's our job to keep that thing moving. And again, if you have a set of systems to help keep deals moving, it's going to accelerate your sales. And now finally, the last three, right? It's like, okay, we've done our good job filling the funnel. We've qualified our deals. We've pulled them through our pipeline. Now it's decision time. How do we get them to take decisions quickly and decide to work with us? There's three things we need to do. One, we need to look at what we call why buy. So in other words, how do we show that our product is a return on investment, right? If you're hearing from people, geez, it's a really cool platform, but it's just too expensive for us, what they're telling you is you're a cost, not an investment, right? So it's our job to make sure our customers know if you make this purchase, this is the return you will get. Sure, it's $100,000 a year to buy our product. And when you buy it and implement it, you're going to get a $10 million return in terms of reduced cost or higher efficiency or reduction of risk or increased revenue, whatever that is for that customer. We need to make sure they're clear and they articulate to us what the ROI is going to be for them. And when you do this, it accelerates sales. Otherwise, that's where deals can stall, right? The eighth system is what we call risk reducers. Now, I'm kind of an old guy. I'm 46. So there used to be this show called The X-Files. I don't know if anybody knows this show. You know the show. David Duchovny was one of the main characters. Yep. And in his office, he had this big poster of a UFO. And on the UFO poster, it said, I want to believe. I want to believe. I don't know why that image is always stuck in my mind, but I think about that a lot when I'm talking to enterprise customers, right? Because think about their situation, right? They're responsible for solving this problem. They've now spent weeks or months with you. There's going to be a potentially significant cash outlay. They're going to spend this money with you, not to mention the time and the resources and the people that they're going to be spending in order to implement with you. But at the end of the day, they're like looking at you and like they want to believe that your product's going to solve their problem. But there's just a lot of risk. You're just some startup. You're some early stage company. How do we know that this is going to work for us? And so by risk reducers, that's where you're having systems like pilot programs or proof of concepts or phased rollouts, a way to help reduce the perception of risk so that you can prove success early and then continue on and make it easy for them to say yes to the next step. We have to reduce that risk. It's our job as salespeople to reduce that risk in the eyes of the customer. Because even if they don't tell us that they're a little worried or they're a little concerned we're not going to come through for them, trust me, they're thinking it because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to get criticized. They don't want to spend that political and financial capital on the wrong decision. And they're just worried. They want to believe, but they're worried. And it's our job to remove that worry by reducing risk.